The Theudrcast is not affiliated and does not represent any 12-step fellowship. I, Bill Ward, the host of the Theudrcast, will be sharing my experience and my journey of recovery. That does include, but is not limited to, the literature contained in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps. Our guests will be sharing their own path to recovery and what has worked for them. The Theudrcast encourages and supports all paths to recovery. Welcome everybody to the Theudrcast. UDR stands for Uncover, Discover, and Recover. My name is Bill Ward, and I'm coming to you from the recovery capital of Canada, Calgary, Alberta. Here we are going to discuss everything recovery, different perspectives, different experiences, both with the people I know and with others from around the world. If you resonate with anything you've heard on this episode today, we ask that you share it with anyone who you think may benefit from it. If you have any questions or comments, please find us at billward.life and send us a message in the info section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you are interested in more recovery content, you can find the buttons for the YouTube channel and other social media outlets on the homepage, and you will be redirected to those platforms. We can recover, one person, one family, one community at a time. I'd like to touch base on step one in the design for living. Right? When we first get here, the number one thing that we need help with is distance ourselves from the substance, right? You know, the doctor's opinion talks about the only suggestion we have to suggest is entire abstinence. Yeah, well, that's a good suggestion, but it doesn't actually do much for the real alcoholic, right? That's why it comes way back in step one. Because I guess that's super important to note, that entire abstinence from all mind and mood altering substances for me. But left to my own devices, I'm not able to stay abstinent from it. So I need help with that. And, that's where steps 2 to 12 come in. But minus that, once I'm here for a little while and I'm able to separate myself from the substance, lack of power is still my dilemma. I still need a power greater than myself that solves my problem. Obviously. Well, that's exactly what the book is about, right? It enables me to find this power that will solve my problem. Well, my problem comes in all shapes and sizes of me, of self. And I start discovering some of that once I've separated myself from the substance for a while. As long as I'm going to meetings, as long as I'm, in the literature, I'm kind of learning more about this illness, I start realizing that the problems in my life arise out of my own self. And I'm absolutely powerless over people, places, things, situations, and my defects of character. And by the point that I kind of get to this realization, I've maybe experienced some serenity and maybe a tiny bit of peace of mind. I kind of feel comfortable. Maybe I'm content at times. But then I often lose that. And when I look at what is taking away my peace, serenity, and contentment, it's a person, place, thing, situation, or one of my own defects. And I'm powerless over those things. So if I keep allowing one of those things to keep taking away my peace and serenity, my contentment, and the path that I'm on, then that becomes the insanity of step 2, except it's no longer with the drink, right? The insanity with the drink is that I know what's going to happen to me, or I don't know what's going to happen to me, and I pick it up anyway. The two powerlessness of the substance is, one, I'm powerless over picking it up. If when I honestly ask myself that I've tried to quit and stay stopped, have I ever been able to? No. Or if I, pick up the drink or the drug, do I have little control in the amount I take? Yeah. Well, it's the very same thing with the substances. And the substances are the people, the places, the things, the defects. And, I can use relationships in my own life for an example. I've been able to distance myself from a certain relationship for a time, but then I'm powerless and I go back. And the insanity of that plays itself out over and over and over. It did for 4 years. It's the same with my anger. I'm powerless over that anger, and when it creeps up, it actually tyrannizes my life, and it causes me a lot of guilt and shame, pushes people away that I really love, and I'm powerless over that, and I need help with that. Same with lust, same with judgment, same with, various types of people and certain people, and I need to learn how to turn that over in my step 3. The cool thing about this program is step 3 talks about in the book, it's just a concept in the book at that point. This concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch, which I passed through to freedom, the freedom of bondage of my own self. But it has to become more than a concept. It has to take actual action. How can I turn these things over? Well, I got to be aware first of what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And then I got to be super willing to try something different. And I might not always know what God's will is. That's the thing about the program. A lot of people, they try to guess what God's will is. We don't need to guess what God's will is. You just need to identify your will. Am I selfish, resentful, dishonest, afraid, judgmental, self-pity, victim, martyr? Which one am I today? Which one am I in this moment? Because they can vary quickly for me. And then I identify my will. And I follow the step 10 process. I ask God, Creator, to remove it at once. I talk to somebody immediately. I make amends quickly if I have harmed anyone. And I resolutely turn my thoughts to someone I can help. So I can identify my will. The only problem is when I identify my will and I actually follow that process and I turn it over, I might not get what I want. And a lot of my defects are triggered by my desire for me to get what it is that I want. The happiness, the satisfaction, the relationship that's a delusion that I think will make me happy, the job, the money, whatever it is. And it's never really done it before. And I've tried those things over and over and over and over. And finally, I become crushed by my own self-imposed crisis in different areas of my life. And then finally and only then am I ready to turn it over. I become as desperate as a dying man can be, right? And I don't want that anymore. I don't want that selling out of my soul. I don't want that selling out of my own integrity. Because the chipping away at my own truth of integrity really has serious side effects in my mental and emotional and physical health. And once I start getting good at this, the results really present themselves, right? My mind starts straightening out. I'm not fighting anyone and anything, and the reason why is because I'm not fighting myself anymore. I'm honoring my own self and my own truth. The problem is to get that to that level of intuition and that guidance, it takes a lot of work to clear that channel because there's a lot of blockage in that channel over years and years and years of these insecurities that seem like they're helping me, but they don't actually help me, especially when I stop drinking and I get older. So, the program really does wonders for that. It straightens out every aspect of my life. And I'll say this, I think sponsorship has straightened out every aspect of my life tenfold to any of the step work I've ever done. Sponsorship is where I've healed the most, and I keep growing and build compassion and learn about people and their desires and their, inability to control their self and gossip and anger and lust and these kind of things, which allows me, instead of judging them for it, to have some compassion and maybe be of service to them, or at least, and if nothing else, at least lead by example. Going into gossip, I had a gentleman who dated my ex not that long ago, and he called me and wanted me to have coffee and talk about how crazy she was. And I said, dude, I'm not interested in that. I'm not here to pick apart somebody that I love. I'm not here to fucking feel superior or have the camaraderie that's bullshit based on, somebody else's character flaws. And I ended that shit right then and there. And it actually affected the friendship, because I don't want friends like that. I don't want friends like that. That's not the kind of people. Water finds its own level, and that's not the kind of water level I'm seeking. I want people who are compassionate, who care, you know. And gossip is a killer, man. People will kill themselves and they'll leave this program. And, you know, there's a lot of gossip in this program. And I've been subject to a lot of it for years and years and years. But I learned my lesson through almost everything that I encounter. Circumstances made him willing to believe. What is this but a miracle of healing? The circumstances that are presented in my life, if I'm willing to learn the lesson, they'll teach me and I can heal. Millimeter by millimeter by millimeter. And the lesson is presented over and over and over. So I can build a little bit more character, I can build a little bit more compassion, and I can heal just a little bit more. And if I run from that lesson, like many of us do, we run away from the lesson, it doesn't go away, it comes back. It's another face, another situation, and it's just presented new in a different shape and form. So the reality is we have to face these things. Because eventually we'll be crushed by our own self-imposed crisis by running, and we get sick. And then finally, with anonymity, the program is not anonymous, but its members are. And what people share intimately has to stay with me. You know, I've worked with enough people in my life in this program, and I do not have a reputation of being a loudmouth. And I don't know of any of my people that I share with that have went and told my shit. But I always take this position. If somebody is going to go and say my shit, man, there's a lesson for it in me. And I can't be hiding from the shit that I've done or that I've said. And I got to remember, this program is like a CO2 cartridge with compressed air. You got the sickest people in society jammed into one place. And eventually something's going to blow. Even though everyone's trying to get well and we're talking about spirituality, the reality is there's two fellowships here. There's the fellowship of Tradition 3. That's medium and low level recovery. Lots of people fucking around. And then there's the fellowship of the Spirit. People that are really, really trying with the best possible attitude to live in the likeness and image of their own Creator. And they're trying to grow. And that's not to judge the people in mid and low level either, because I've seen people change in all areas of this program. So I got to remember that, right? But at the end of the day, I'm here to carry the message that's contained in that book. This is the message that this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. What it is, it's about brotherly love and harmonious action. And to understand that I can't beat myself up if I fuck up, because honestly, if you're trying hard, you're not fucking up. You're making mistakes that you're going to grow and learn from, and you can use those experiences to benefit other people. And it's not my job to stick my nose in what everyone else is doing. I stay in my lane, I stay on the blacktop, and I watch either side of the ditch because I don't want to go in the ditch. And I stay in that lane, and it serves me well. Bill Ward has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, because of that, his name's not drawn into public controversy. Very rare do I get drawn into much people's bullshit. That gossip's another thing, but I'm not doing anything to draw myself into shit. And I take good pride in that. And how I learned that was I practiced step 10. I practiced turning it over. And that practicing that step 10 and turning it over is not a fun process. But actually down the road, it's actually, the benefits are far more than I can express in words on a meeting. The feeling that you get inside, and the peace and serenity, comprehending serenity, knowing peace, not fighting anyone or anything, especially self. And by no means does that fully end. I still do, but it's far less than I ever have. Thank you for tuning in to the Theudrcast. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. The viewpoints and the opinions expressed today were solely of the individual sharing them. If you resonated with this episode, please follow us and share this link with anyone that may benefit from it. Please visit us at Billwardlife to see everything that we have going on. We can recover, one person, one family, one community at a time.